Hi, this lecture is going to be about the article I signed, The 15 Common Reasons Why is Research Important for Students by Abdul Azim. I think it's really important whenever we start something in a class that we make sure that students know what we're talking about. For many years, I assumed people knew what an academic essay was or a thesis statement, and I would find that a lot of students didn't know, or they didn't recognize sometimes by the word I was using because there's some, flexibility in how we call some things. And I think also for this class, it's really important that you understand just how valuable the skills are that you're learning can be for you outside of the classroom and the campus, that these are skills that you can use in your professional and personal life. And I think that this article does a really good job of kind of explaining that. So I want to begin our semester by just talking about research because that's going to be a big part of what you do all semester long. So the first thing that I want to ask you to think about, and if you want to pause after I ask this, that's fine, is, what is research? If you had to define it, how would you define it? Basically, it's the collection of knowledge, right, of information. And that information or knowledge can take many different forms. It might be talking to an expert, gathering expert testimony if you're a police officer. It might be, reading an article, watching a video. It might be actually going and doing something. Sometimes we research something by actually learning how to do something, right? If you're an author, you might go and you're going to set a book in a cafe. So maybe you go and you sit at a cafe and observe, or you work at a cafe, right, to get an understanding of what it's like, right? So research is just collecting information on its very simplest level. And so as we see in the first point here, it's a knowledge building tool, right? It enhances our knowledge, it expands it. And nobody is so knowledgeable about anything that they can't learn more, right? Socrates is famous for saying the only thing that he knows is that he knows nothing. And that was supposedly why the oracle at Delphi called him the wisest man, because he knew that he relatively didn't really know anything when we think about just the vast knowledge that's out there to learn, right? So it is a way to build knowledge. The second point is that it enables efficient learning, right? And by that, I mean, it says here that it restores and protects memory, and it can enhance your mathematic and problem solving skills. I'm a really good researcher, but I really don't know how it affected my math. I'm not that great a mathematician, but I certainly understand that it does make it easier for me to learn. And by that, I think that if I come in to a situation with some knowledge already, or if I'm able to go out and find information, I'm better able to retain what I'm hearing. It might be that because I know some of the foundational information, I'm able to understand then what they're talking about. So I have what we might call prerequisite knowledge. It's like coming into this class, you know how to write an essay, right? Because you had Comp 1. One of the challenges is in being a composition teacher for freshmen is that many freshmen haven't learned how to write an essay in high school. And if they did write an essay, it's not an analytical academic essay. And so they should know that. We should be able to go right off the bat, start writing college level papers. But we can't because students don't know. And so if we started right off, you would be confused. You would be lost because you don't have any foundation. And so I think enabling efficient learning means that the more I know, the better it is I'll be able to make connections. I'll be able to synthesize and evaluate and maybe even project into the future what I think might happen. It aids employment prospects. I bet that was a surprise. Obviously, research and development is a very important aspect of many companies, not just scientific companies that might do, research on genetics and stuff like that, but even like here at the college, many of us are consistently working on designing and developing new curriculum or new training programs for students as well as faculty and staff. And so being able to research to find out what's the best information that tells us what we need to know about learning in this context, or getting the best information just to teach people, is really an important part of doing a good job. We don't just rely on what we know, right, or what we've always done. We have to start looking at, well, what are other people doing? How are other colleges handling this? Can we adapt that or apply that method here and get good results, right? So again, being able to research is a valuable asset as you go out into your professional career. Even if you're not doing research and development in terms of like creating new products, you still are going to be asked to do things that will need you to gather data, right? You might be asked to figure out what employees feel about a new potential policy or something like that. Well, that means you've got to go out and collect information, right? And how do you collect it in the most efficient, effective way? Number 4, it helps us understand issues. And this is there are several of these that are really linked together. But in this one, I think the point is that when I go out and I read about something, I can gain a better understanding of what the issue is. And I might be able to even discover things that I've never heard about, right? There might be issues that people don't want to talk about, and research might be a way for me to become aware of it. It might be that they just don't talk about it where I live, but it's still a real thing for people in other states or other parts of the world, and I need to be aware of that, right? So it gives us a way to answer questions, and actually a way to figure out more questions to ask, right?